Everybody, my name is Philip, and I'm here with Dragon's Lair, and I'm here to teach you about the new game, Mariposas. It's a game about butterfly migration and the life cycle of a butterfly. The way that it plays out is relatively simple. We've already done all of the setup for you, so we don't need to have to worry about doing the tedious amount of setup there is. It takes about 10 minutes to set up, but once you pass that, you're off to migration. Here's how it works. Every player is dealt 2 action cards. These 2 action cards are how you move about the board. They can be a variety of things, but all of them work out pretty much the same way. They have a number of butterflies on them, and then a number of spaces that those butterflies will move. Now, you can move whatever butterflies you want, and you can move the same butterfly over and over and over again. So you can either move one butterfly, 1 space, and then another one, 2 spaces, or one butterfly, 3 spaces, 3 times, or 1 space 3 times, or you can move one butterfly, 1, another butterfly 1, and then another butterfly 1, however it works. But in every scenario, you only move the butterfly 1 space and pick up whatever you land on. In contrast, you've got ones that are like this, where you move 1 butterfly 3 spaces and then pick up whatever you land on, and then 1 butterfly 1 space and pick up whatever you land on. Cards do different things, and they're good for different values. Assuming that I'm playing as the red player and I go first, we're going to play this card. They move 1 butterfly, 1 space 3 times. So we're going to pick our 1 butterfly, we're going to land on this space, the orange flower, and then because we landed on there and we stopped there because we only move 1 space, you pick up whatever's there. We take that one. And then we go here, pick up that one. Then we go here. Sorry. And then we pick up this one. That is the end of our turn. At the end of our turn, you draw back up to where you have 2 action spaces. And then we pass the player to the next turn. You keep the card that you play in front of you. The reason that you do that is twofold. 1, there are cards that you can play that allow you to copy an action that you've already done. And then your opponents can also play cards that can copy an action that you've already done. And it also keeps track of your turns. Because in the spring, what you're trying to do is objectives, and those objectives vary. There's a different, you can have different objectives every time you play. There's like 4 spring objectives, 7 summer objectives, and 5 fall objectives. So there's a bit of variety in that, but they all basically are trying to get you to do the same thing. Go north. The objectives are how you score points, and they're depending on the difficulty of the objective, you score a varying amount of points. This objective is relatively simple. It's just get north of Atlanta and be on a red space. There's a lot of red spaces, and Atlanta's not very far up, so you only get 1 point for doing this. But every butterfly can do both of these objectives. If you're both north of Atlanta and you're on a red space, you get 2 points per butterfly. Now, another part of migration for butterflies is reproducing. And in order to reproduce, there are certain specific spaces that have little millweed symbols on them. If you're on any of the 3 neighboring spaces to this millweed, what you can do is you can reproduce. 1s produce 2s, 2s produce 3s, and 3s produce 4s, and 4s can produce double 4s. The way that works is if we land on a millweed chart, let's assume that I have, or this is fine, let's assume that I have these 3. My 1 butterfly, because it's next year, can spend its 3 tokens, because it can be any of these, whether it be 2 of the same or any 3, or 3 of the same and any 4 to make a 3. To make a 4, you need 4 of the same or any 5, and to make a double 4, same concept. So follow the chart, seeing as I'm making a 2, spending 3 of any, and I go to the summer flower, or summertime first. You always pull from these ones first. Because I've got a 2 here, I pull it from there, and it lands on the same space. Now I have 2 butterflies to work with. It lets me get closer to the end of my, not evolution, but the end of my family life cycle. You want to get to 2 times butterflies because it lets you do more, it lets you score more points. In order to get there, you got to go through the life cycle. You got to get to a 1, and then a 2, and then a 3, and then a 4, and then a double 4.
You're talking about the generations of butterflies.
Yeah, talking about the generations of butterflies. Now, that's how you reproduce. And then now, when you play a card like this, you can move like 1, 2, and then 1, or you can move 1, 3, or you can go 1, 1, and then 1. However it works for you. Whatever you need to do the most. The other type of space that you can land on other than a flower space are these way stations. Now, they're randomized at every game, and basically they have one of two things. They either have an evolution of the butterfly in a specific color. There are 3 colors and 4 stages. You start off as an egg and end off as a butterfly. You don't have to collect them in order. You just need to collect them. And basically, if you collect all of them, they have basically bonus objectives that you can do, or bonus things that you can do. If you collect all in that life cycle, you get this bonus, and it's an additional way of scoring. Or this one says you take an extra turn at the end of fall, so you get an extra turn. Like this one is, you get 1 extra butterfly at the starting zone at the game end, which I'll talk about that in a moment. But long story short, these are additional ways that give you an edge in the game. But the thing is you don't know where they are. They start off random. Every time you land there, yeah, everybody figures it out, but at the beginning of it all, it's all random. When you also land on a way station, you roll the random die. This die has 1 of every flower type on it and a wild flower. Whenever you land on a way station, oh wow, I landed on the wild one, you take a flower of the matching type, or if you land on a wild like I did, you take whichever one you want. Some flower spots, or some of the spots, have 2 flowers on them. You take 2 of the appropriate flower type. After 4 turns have passed, you move into the summer, where the objective gets a little bit harder, and it does something different. So now, you need to be south of Richmond, you need to be north of Richmond. None of your butterflies can be north or south of Richmond, and you have to have at least 3 of them. You can be east of Lawrence, I think is how that's pronounced. Mm-hmm. Or you can have, you get 2 points for being on the East Coast. I'm sorry, that's west. So that's kind of the thing that happens. Is these 2 objectives, one wants you to be on this side, the other one wants you to be on this side, but both of them work for being north of Richmond, which Richmond is right here. So as long as you're north of here and on either of the coasts, you should be okay to score extra points. Now, in the life cycle of butterflies, they're doing 2 things. The older ones are trying to go north, but the younger ones are trying to go south. The 4s are technically the youngest butterflies because they're not born for long. And the way that that's illustrated in the game is your older butterflies, they only need to be right of Houston. So Houston is here. And then everybody gets 4 points for every 5 set of flowers they have. But there's another way of scoring. For all of your 4 butterflies that are back at the starting zone at the end of the game, you get accelerated victory points based off of how many you have. It's very difficult because the whole game you're trying to go north, and then at the end, all of a sudden you're trying to get back south, and you only have 6 turns to do so. So that's kind of like the trick, is you gotta manage your older butterflies and then try to get your newer butterflies back to the start. Whenever you score points, you move across this little tracker, and whoever has the most points wins the game. There's one other special thing though, and I think there's one right here. If you land on a way station, sometimes they don't have these life cycle cards. Sometimes they have special action cards. There are 3 of them, and they do different things. Basically, these 2 can be played along with any of your other action cards, and it adds 1 movement or 2 movement to each of those actions. This one is its own special action card. It lets you move 1 butterfly 3 spaces and pick something up, and 1 butterfly 2 spaces and pick something up. This is the only one of its kind, and it's incredibly powerful. They're like little one-off action cards, and you get to keep them throughout the seasons. Every season, everybody turns in their action cards and starts it over again. And that is how you play Mariposas. It's a pretty fun game. It takes about 30 minutes to an hour to play. It's really fun. It's really educational. The rulebook is wonderful for teaching you about a little bit more about the life cycle of a butterfly and how migration works. It's very educational. It's very fun. Takes a bit of time to learn, and I hope this video helps you learn it, because otherwise it's a really fun game. Made by the same person who made Wingspan, which is an amazing game that one of these days we will do a video on. And I hope that you guys enjoyed yourself, and we'll see you next time.